Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. Fire potential impacts for the coming days are shown here. The main impact we're looking at is a continuation of generally wet thunderstorms over central and eastern Utah, with some lingering mixed wet-dry thunderstorms over the northern half of the Great Basin today. And then we'll see a decrease in thunderstorm coverage over the next couple of days, especially over the north and the west. We do also have some wind along the Sierra Front today, and that wind continues there for the next couple of days. And then some breezier conditions coming to Idaho Wednesday into Thursday. Smoke for today and tomorrow afternoon is shown here. The main impacts for smoke are going to be over much of western and central Idaho and portions of northern Nevada. The past 24 hours of weather is shown here with precip on the left and lightning on the right. It was a very active day for thunderstorms across most of Utah and Nevada and even up into Idaho. We did see some pretty good precipitation amounts with some of these storms over southwest Utah. Those storms, a number of stations getting over a half an inch and up to 3/4 of an inch in that brighter green. And same thing over central Nevada. Some of those storms did carry a pretty good amount of precipitation. Some drier storms over western Wyoming, however, could be a concern for new fires popping up. And then also over these west central Idaho mountains here. Those storms were on the drier side. Fire activity is still pretty active over the central Idaho mountains and far western Nevada here, with some new initial attack popping up from the thunderstorms in Utah and Nevada, but many of those fires staying on the smaller side. The observed precipitation for the past 14 days is shown here. Quite a bit of precip observed over central and southern Utah, the Arizona Strip, and portions of southeastern Nevada. Those values are actually above normal for the time of year. A pretty healthy monsoon over the last couple of weeks in these areas. However, further north it has been quite dry. The northern Utah mountains have been on the dry side, as well, of course, northern Nevada and much of western and central Idaho. ERCs have been on the downward trend with the precipitation moving in, especially over southern Nevada and southern Utah. We'll see some of these values further north continue to come downward as well, with another day of precipitation and higher relative humidities for today. Taking a closer look at the trend of the ERCs over the central Idaho mountains, those values are still very high, above the 90th percentile, setting records for the time of year. These values may come down a bit today with some of that precipitation cloud cover from yesterday. And further east over western Wyoming, same story, setting new records for the time of year and bumping right up on that 97th percentile. This morning's satellite imagery shows the center of the high pressure located just to the east of the Great Basin, allowing moisture from the south to come right up through southern Utah and southern Nevada and move into the Great Basin. So we'll see another day of pretty juicy storms over central and eastern Utah with some scattered storms elsewhere, and then we'll begin to dry out for a couple of days across the west. So again, for this afternoon, wetter storms in place over Utah and southern Nevada, a mix of wet and dry over much of Idaho today, and so that's what I've got highlighted for high risk potential for new initial attack from that mixed wet-dry thunderstorms. A closer look showing where thunderstorms are expected to be pretty much statewide across Idaho, western Wyoming, much of Utah, particularly the higher elevations. Western and southern Nevada will start to dry out with the drier air moving in there and decreasing thunderstorms in Nevada, and some gustier winds there along the Sierra Front. On Wednesday, kind of the same story. We'll continue to see wet thunderstorms over much of the higher elevations of Utah and parts of southeast Nevada, possibly, but drying out or decreasing thunderstorm activity anyway across Idaho, and continuing generally drier over far western Nevada. So a closer look at where those storms might be on Wednesday. Better chance over the higher elevations of Utah, particularly across the south, and then some generally isolated 2 widely scattered thunderstorms across Idaho, the central Idaho mountains in particular, and then drying elsewhere. So we really will start to see decreasing thunderstorm activity starting on Wednesday. Continued gusty winds over the Sierra Front, western Nevada, and then up into the central Idaho mountains as well on Wednesday. And then more of the same on Thursday. That moisture just kind of continues to hang around in portions of the eastern half of the Great Basin, with drying across the west. We don't have any high risk on Thursday. Minimum relative humidities really drop quite a bit over particularly northwest Nevada and into western portions of Idaho, with higher relative humidities continuing over especially the higher elevations of Utah. As far as the wind gusts go for Thursday, continue to be on the gustier side, especially over the Snake River Plain, and of course associated with any thunderstorms that linger in Utah. The 3-day precip totals shown here are showing the heaviest precipitation, of course, coming to the higher elevations of Utah. Nevada is going to start to see decreasing thunderstorms, of course, and then some lingering showers and thunderstorms over Idaho for the next couple of days, and western Wyoming as well. Although the amounts won't be quite as significant there, and we do expect to see some kind of some lightning or some fires popping out of the lightning further north. On Friday, moisture stays in place over Utah, especially the south and central portion of the state and the higher elevations there. And then the dryness continues over western Nevada and Idaho. More of the same into Saturday, with that ridge kind of retreating back down to centering over the southwest, and that allows the drier air to really spread across the northern half of the geographic area, with some moisture lingering across the south. And then on Sunday, as that ridge moves a little bit further westward, some moisture will stay in place over Utah, maybe get a little bit further north over the higher elevations. Still dry across the north and west. By Monday, that ridge continues to move further westward, and that will allow moisture to return back into Nevada by early next week, and further north into the Great Basin to northern Utah perhaps by early next week. So the 7-day totals showing quite a bit more precipitation than the 3-day, particularly over central and southern Utah, those higher elevations. So as that ridge sits over the southwest, we'll continue to see daily afternoon thunderstorms over the higher elevations of Utah, southern Utah in particular. And then earlier next week, that moisture will make its way back into portions of western Nevada perhaps, and further north into northern Utah. The extended forecast, July 27th through August 2nd, continues to put the bullseye of heat over the northern Rockies. Even a near normal temperature forecast for parts of southern Utah. And as far as the precipitation goes, above normal chances for precip over northern Nevada and into northwest Utah, kind of centered over the Great Basin there. So definitely a good sign for keeping some of our fire potential moderated as we head into the end of July and 1st of August, especially for Utah and Nevada. Idaho, of course, especially northern Idaho, is going to be on that drier side. This concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.